Let's talk about guardianships. Let's talk about guardianships in Florida. Let's talk about it because it's something I've been studying for these many months. Done a lot of reading, done a lot of scouring the internet, been spending a lot of time with Grok AI. And the reason why I'm using Grok AI is paying $400 a month to a lawyer gets expensive. In my world, $400 an hour is not chump change. And so in order for me to make an educated decision, in order for me to study the subject matter, I feel like that although Google searches and articles are helpful, I have to go further. And the reason why I have to go further has to do with a lot of my questions are very situational. Okay, they're not just like, oh, what's the meaning of guardianship? And what are the different types of guardianship? And what are your responsibilities? All this broad-based stuff. A lot of my questions have to do with very specific situational things, like how do you handle certain things? What am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? What are the costs involved in pursuing guardianship? What are the pros and cons? Let me tell you something. Oh my God. I'm just going to give you the punchline and you can just leave the video. Guardianships are shit. Guardianships are shit. If you can avoid it, I would absolutely avoid it. Now, I say this as a non-lawyer. I say this as a person who is spending a lot of time researching. I say this if you want some sanity, if you don't want to live under court order. I say this if you don't want to have sole legal responsibility for an elderly person, if you're not prepared for it, or the person that you're going to guardian, they are not cooperative, right? They're combative, they're in denial. Let's say hypothetically, the court appoints you as guardian and you do have the power. What are you going to do? Are we going to physically grab or detain or move, transport a hostile elderly person, right? You have the power. Let's say the courts give you the power. Are we really going to use this power in such a manner? Let's think through this for a minute. Even if you're willing to use the power that a court bestows upon you, now, of course, it's going to be case to case, but let's just take it, let's assume that you're going to need more powers, right? Because of uncooperative family members who are in denial, right? Let's assume this. I have a problem being fully liable for this situation. It's not like I'm afraid of responsibilities. I have several real estate licenses. I rent out homes. I have tenants. I do work for clients. I have property. I have bank accounts, right? I mean, I take on lots of responsibility, right? And I even help out other people. But I don't know about this whole business, especially as a guardianship, as I've read it. I don't know. Now, I understand there's different levels of guardianships. So I'm a little bit biased because it's based on my situation. I don't like it. I'm not worried that I will be able to win in a case if that were to become necessary. But gosh, guardianships, as my reading, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. Now, I understand why. I have read horrible, horrible articles, so many of them in Florida, about abusive professional guardianships. And the professional guardianships are going to hate this video because my bias is that professional guardians is also off limits. Now, I know that's a broad-based statement, and I'm not trying to be unfair, but I'm not smart enough to know who is a good professional guardian and who is not. One thing I have learned, at least from what I have read, is once a guardian is in, family members have very little say. I mean, you just think about this. In this conversation, I'm kind of straddling two fences, right? I'm talking about being a guardian for a family member, right? It's a shit job. But at the same time, I'm also bringing in the topic of professional guardianships, which is also a horrible thing if you read all the stories. Now, supposedly, there are new laws and there are new measures to prevent runaway professional guardians and all that stuff. One thing I can tell you, they won't work for free. And I don't have a problem people getting paid, but I'm just, from what I read, oh my God, they're going to charge a lot of fees. They don't do anything on a caregiving level. Like me, I have assumed some caregiving responsibilities. Not officially. It's just, no one's holding a gun to my head. I have voluntarily, for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, uproot my life and voluntarily cook 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner, 12 and 7, pick up a 90-year-old person, bring him to another house, cook for them, feed them, entertain them, speak with them, and take them home. And I'm on my way back home after having done this for nearly 3 weeks. I am an unofficial guardian, if you even want to call me that. I mean, I consider myself a bit of a caregiver. I'm assisting. I'm voluntarily assisting. And I'm trying to get things done without official power, which is a whole topic in itself, especially when it gets to the financial realm. That is going to be a whole topic for a whole video. Like, how do you handle things when you don't have official power or official authorization? And I don't want to hear this bullshit about, oh, you get a power of attorney. Okay, I've heard this like a fucking 100 times. So I get a little bit triggered when I hear, oh, go get a power of attorney. Yes, you don't think I ever heard this before. You don't think that I would want to take the easy road. So that is a triggering response when people say that to me. Oh, go get it. If I could get one, I would have years ago. So let me just make that clear. This is my particular scenario, and maybe your scenario, and some other people's scenarios, is there is no power of attorney. But you have adult children seeing things, trying to take care of things, right? Like, pay the water bill, right? Pay the power bill. You know what happens when you don't pay utilities, right? What happens is they will actually disconnect you. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? That if you don't pay your utilities, they will eventually disconnect you, no matter how old you are. I know. That's very hard to believe, right? Very hard to believe. But somebody's got to do it. Guess what? In Florida, there's a lot of rain. And the grass grows like crazy, especially in the summer months. It's like crazy. There's a whole huge industry, landscaping industry in Florida, right? They're everywhere. And when I'm in Georgia, don't need a cut once every couple weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, right? In Florida, oh my God. Sometimes, and it's worse, you got to cut it every week. We're lucky if you could go 2 weeks. All these things have to be handled. And if you have one property, one house, it's a fair amount of work. But when you have multiple properties, it's even more work. Just thought you'd like to know that. And you have to find creative ways to get things done. So, I was rambling on and going off on tangents. I actually had to stop the video and replay the video because I didn't know what the topic was about. I want to bring the video back to what I started. It's about guardianships and how crappy it is and how I believe you should do everything you can to avoid it. I'm not going to say that I won't be forced into it, but I can tell you as I make this video, the more I learn, the more I hate the job, if that became necessary. I think it's kind of funny. Well, maybe not funny, ha. I find it interesting that they say that guardianships is a measure of last resort. Like, it has to be said. But from my view, I didn't even need it to be said. Once I knew what the scope of responsibility, what the requirements, the costs, understanding the legalities of it, it didn't take long for me to come to that conclusion, that it's a shit job. It's a shit job. Because this is a sort of a narrative video, I'm sort of just speaking off the cuff. I apologize that it doesn't answer all the questions about guardianships. I mean, and I can't get specific. This is not meant to be a presentation, but this is meant to be a raw video of what I'm experiencing. And again, I can't get too specific, but if you listen very, very carefully, you'll be able to sniff out what I'm trying to say. This is going to be an ongoing saga for me for probably the next year or two. I have no idea how long it's going to go, but this is my life as it stands. I've kept it quiet for the past year and a half, but now I'm making YouTube videos talking about what I'm going through, and I can tell you, I'm not alone. There's a lot of people who are quietly going through this, but I'm probably one of the few that's willing to attempt a conversation through YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you want to follow along, and I'll see you in my next video.